And what was your assignment?
To make identity boxes
Okay.
out of just stuff that we had that, could represent us
That would represent you.
in some way.
And so just give me like a sentence of how your box represented you.
Mine was more of kind of a personal narrative of my life to this point, kind of chronicling. Each section is a phase in my life.
Great, okay. How about this one now belongs to, yes?
When I approached this, I was thinking about what's something about myself, and I thought about, in the past, I struggled with depression for a part of my life, and I thought about creating my box about that time period.
Well, that's terrific, and you're very revealing, and I'm going to point you to the collage that's going on over there. You see kind of, what does this represent to you? What does this look like?
Jewelry.
Jewelry, okay, jewelry. Kind of femininity in a way, growing up as a girl. And then I say, when I was younger and moving in a car to pass someone who was in the middle lane, I would automatically and unconsciously turn my head as I was passing from the left lane, passing the car in the middle lane, to make sure he didn't have a gun to shoot me. I wasn't aware of it. If I were driving past the car, I would just turn around to see if he had a gun. It never came to my consciousness. I just did it. And then, after years of doing it, I realized what I was doing, and then it stopped. I want to tell you 4 stories of how my work represents me and the mission of my nonprofit, Have Art Will Travel. I guess you read a little bit about that. It is trying to get people to think of being everyday heroes. I want to tell you now about going to one school. You're teachers now, want to be teachers or are teachers, how you could use this art to teach little people and big people about being everyday heroes. So I went to Santa Barbara with my Holocaust Heroes exhibit, and I had 9-year-olds. And we were giving a workshop to 9-year-olds. And you could consider this. How many of you teach in the 9-year-old category? Okay, I think all of you. Anyone teach older? Just so okay, everything, okay. So I was told beforehand, Linda, if you put a microphone in a 9-year-old's hand, they're gonna answer any question you want because they love to talk on the microphone. So that's something you might consider for you teaching. The name of the workshop was She Is My Hero. She is my hero. So I thought the little boys would say, what do you mean, girls only? That's not fair. Nobody said anything. I asked them to choose a hero before I came to Santa Barbara and to bring in pictures and trinkets of their hero. So they came in with all their stuff, and they each had an 18 by 20 piece of paper and crayons and paints and more trinkets and all kinds of stuff so they could make collages. And while they were making collages, I said to them, who did you choose? And they told me Althea Gibson or superheroes, their grandmother, their girlfriend in class. And then I said to them, what is a hero? What words would you use to define hero? They said, you gotta be brave, with the microphone. You gotta be brave, you gotta be strong, you gotta be courageous. One said, you gotta be kind. And then I said, were you ever a hero? And there was a pause, but a little 9-year-old girl came up, took the microphone, and said, well, when Betsy was beating on Kevin, I went over to Betsy and said, cut that out. Don't be a bully. And then I went over to Kevin and I said, Kevin, don't listen to Betsy. I'll be your friend. And then with the microphone in hand, she put her hands on her hips and said, I guess I was a hero. That's what we want to do. All this that I'm working on with sexism, and we can see a couple more tapestries, has to do with how I grew up. When I was growing up, probably very different than you, I was very athletic. But I was taught that a girl should never be stronger, better, or smarter than a boy. So what did I do? If I went out on a date, I would take the bowling ball or the tennis ball or ping pong ball and make sure it went into the alley gutter or into the net. So the boy always won. Pretty ridiculous, right? But when I give that story, tell that story, and there are, younger people, they say, "You did what?" That's just ridiculous. And when there are older people in the room, you can see them shaking their heads. They did it too. So on a first date, I would kind of play this role, this feminine role. And I would say to the boy, "Wow, you're a plumber. Tell me about it. What do you do with faucets and drains?" This is what I thought I had to do to be feminine and to help the boy be masculine. So you're going to see that in my art. Come out now over here. I'm going to show you one on femininities. I was brought up, be very ladylike, cross your legs. So I always learned to be proper. A female should always cross her legs. And wasn't so long ago that women were riding horses side saddle. You know how dangerous that is? That women were forced to ride a horse side saddle, not astride like Wonder Woman is, because don't ride astride. Protect your hymen. Keep it intact to prove your virginity. In those days, women rode side saddle. I mean, just so stupid. And here's my revealing, like the woman that talked about being depressed. What is your story? Mine is when I was 9 years old and sat astride on a bench, talking with all my pals, a boy reached out and grabbed me between my legs. When I asked, "Why did you do that?" he replied, "Because you were sitting that way." I must have been sitting like this. And he felt he had a right to touch me between my legs. So I tried to put into my work what is important to me. Another story, I was at one school and the curator of the whole exhibit, and this was the Fluidity of Gender exhibit, not these sculptures, but other sculptures going around. She put on a sculpture and said, did a little skit. I think she was an actress before she was a gallery curator. She spun around wearing the sculpture and said, "Hey boss, how come he's getting $10,000 more than me on this job? I'm working as hard as he is, and I'm as good as he is. What are you doing that for?" She spun around and said, "Hey coach, how come Jimmy's on the field and I'm sitting on the bench? I could throw that ball as well as him." Another story is my friend Achebe came to my house and she had a sore on her forehead and she was wearing a Band-Aid on her beautiful brown skin. And the Band-Aid was like a Band-Aid, right? So the Band-Aid really was white or a creamy color on her nice brown skin. And I looked and there was a visual epiphany. Did you ever have a visual epiphany? And the epiphany was about the unfairness and the bigotry in our society. And it was visual. So as art teachers, what you could accomplish visually can't be accomplished any other way. So I said to Chevy, just wait here a minute. I'll be right back. And I came back with a Band-Aid. I painted it black, and I wore this Band-Aid. And I said, Chevy, I just never realized the unfairness of how probably few cosmetics there are, as opposed to the thousands of cosmetics there are for white people and not for people of color. So I said, Chevy, would you mind when we go out tonight if I wear my Band-Aid and you wear yours? And I didn't know what she would say. I didn't know whether she would be affronted in some way or not. She said, sure, let's do it. We didn't say anything. We went to the movies or wherever we were going. I wore my Band-Aid and she wore hers. And people came over to us and we didn't say a word. People came over to us and said, I got it, thank you, or whatever. Wow, you're really making a statement, aren't you? So this is the kind of thing you could do as teachers, just visually, even without words.